And responding to criticism by the Restaurant Association of Maryland that Montgomery County is now the only, I repeat that, the only jurisdiction, not even DC is closed down in the region, to prohibit indoor dining, County Executive Mark Elrich sent a proposal to the County Council to allow restaurants to reopen at 25% indoor capacity, but imposed a 1-hour time limit for patrons to dine. All right, here, shut up, sit down, eat your food, and get out of here. So, Linda, Zaid Barsoon, who owns Bacchus of Lebanon and Bethesda, called the proposal and the 1-hour time limit, honestly, it's a joke. What do you think?
The old adage, you get what you get and you don't get upset, comes to mind with the whole like county council restaurant policy. I think we're lucky to be opening February 9th, 3.5 weeks after the district did so, which is kind of disgusting in and of itself. But I think at certain restaurants, the hour time limit makes sense. But if you're talking about fine dining, no. I did see, or any sort of sit down dining. I did see an interview this week, I think Channel 7 with Mark Elrich, and he was saying that it probably won't be enforced. But that being said, the sentiment really shows where the county's position is on economics and our restaurants and bars. And it's really sad that, so many good restaurants and bars that are individually family owned have already closed in this pandemic.
Well, Cynthia, Rob, picking up on that sentiment, Rob Blackwood, the general manager at Brickside Food and Drink on Cordell Avenue in Bethesda, which we call Restaurant Row, said this: we get it. There's a pandemic going on. We want it to be as safe as possible. But at the same time, if you want Cordell to close, keep doing what you're doing, because you're going to force every single bar and restaurant on Cordell Avenue to close in the next couple of months unless something changes. Are they capable of changing their policies?
Well, this is a classic rock and a hard place for the county, because they're looking at health data, and they're looking at how COVID spreads. And if you are in an enclosed space and you are not wearing a mask and you don't have proper ventilation and air exchange, that's a risky proposition. So, and also, yes, restaurant owners are also correct. They will go under. What we continue to have to do is to push the numbers down. Vaccinations need to increase so that the underlying public health conditions improve to a point where there's less risk of transmission and restaurants can be eaten.
Well, that sounds great.
Diners.
But why don't we trust the citizenry of Montgomery County, who are well educated, and why don't we trust the restaurant owners? I mean, across the river in Virginia, I went to Patsy's restaurant in Tyson's Corner. It's closer to my house than restaurants in Rockville. It takes 10 minutes. They're wide open. The only thing that they have is they have a 6-foot spacing requirement between tables.
Okay, so here's
people to do what they're comfortable with. If they want to go to a restaurant, they can. Why do you need government trying to superimpose this?
Because sometimes they do for us. The other thing that's on the horizon that we have to be aware of, that may screw everything up, is the variants for COVID that are now here. So those variants are much more transmissible and could really screw everything up by March. And the county has to be looking ahead. I'm very worried about that, given the slowness of the vaccination rate and what COVID variants might do to us in the next 6 weeks to 2 months. And that would screw everything up. And so we have to, it's a literal rock and a hard place. I don't know what else to say about it.
Linda, you think Cynthia's right?
I think about the data, it is right. But I think there's also a common sense approach to this. 25%, if a restaurant can pay its bills, admitting that many people is fine, but we should be open. We should have opened when DC did.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We're going to go to break right now. And when we come back from this short break, DC and neighboring Virginia counties are reopening schools. Why can't MCPS? Stay tuned.